Bitcoin hits new all-time high, goes over 124,000. We're going to a million. We pulled back a little, but I mean, there's going to be some massive short squeezes in the price of Bitcoin pretty soon. There's still so many people that don't own Bitcoin yet. It is absolutely frightening. Let me see. I'm still new to the streaming thing, so let me triple check I am live everywhere and let people log into the stream. And then, yeah, man, I think we're live on all the good spots. Let me get out of my email. Obviously, you can see I was doing some research. Yeah, so Bitcoin's ripping, crashed a little. Moral of the story is Bitcoin is going a lot higher. There's still very few people that own it. My dad now is a Bitcoin millionaire. And, you know, he has assets, he has money. But he goes to breakfast with all these rich older guys. Not one of them owns Bitcoin. They all have mansions, millions in the bank. None of them own Bitcoin. And for me, Bitcoin is an insurance policy. It's not just something you're speculating on. And if you have all these assets, say you're rich, you got 50 million in assets and cash and all this stuff, why not put 1% of it into Bitcoin and protect yourself from getting, you know, in case the next 2009 comes and the banks aren't working, and or there's a war, you got to get out of town. You have $1 million in Bitcoin, you can go anywhere with it. Let me see if anyone in this chat's active. Anyone alive? Yesterday I had Destin Cryptada. She's a crypto influencer from Argentina. She's pretty cool. She gives valuable insight to what's happening in Argentina, and that's kind of going to be a lot of people's future because they're dealing with like 90 to 100% inflation, but their society hasn't fallen apart because they've had it like every 10 years their currency collapses, so people don't freak out and burn the country to the ground. So it might not be a bad place to find your plan B is a country that's already experienced hyperinflation and is in the right hemisphere of the world if there's a big war. So, and you can see how people save their money in real estate there, but you can see how the inflation cripples the economy in Argentina because you can't get any loans. So when inflation gets to a certain period, like 100%, the banks aren't giving out any loans. So like if you want to buy real estate in most circumstances, you have to pay 100% down to get a loan. And how many people have enough money to buy a property outright? Very few people. So it's very hard to get loans, and then if you do, it's like 50% down and then your loan's tied to inflation. So it makes the poor poorer. I think she was saying if you live in Argentina, it's 120 years of work to buy like a house there because their wages are absolutely nothing. So kind of crazy. Let's see if there's anything good in the news. Yeah, I saw Trump was bringing back helping conservatives and crypto people not get debanked. And like right now, I'm trying to kind of fighting with PayPal. I'm trying to get my limits up and all this stuff. And it's like, you want to tell them, you know, you're doing servers and not Bitcoin mining machines because they're never going to give you, they're going to screw your account up. Let's see if there's anything interesting on this. Okay. China will ask firms run by the central government to buy unsold homes. This is insanity. China does not have free markets, but China has been able to get away with it for this long because they're a massive producer, because they're a massive manufacturer, and they're making a lot of money. So they can manipulate other markets with that money. It's not smart because you're throwing good money after bad, but say they're manufacturing all these products, making money, and then they're building these cities that no one goes to that are empty, and then they control the banks or hedge funds, and then they give them money and force them to buy unsold homes. So central planning never works, and I think his name was something Chanos. He's like a really famous short seller. And years ago, he was really publicly saying and being quoted as China's on a runway, on a treadmill to hell, was what he said. And then you have people like Kyle Bass, big hedge fund guy, Heyman Capital, always like huge China hawks. But China hasn't gone anywhere, never collapsed. And the reason is they're producing so much money that they can manipulate the markets that aren't and get away with it. And they're doing a lot of financial engineering, and so is the United States. So we'll see whose economic model wins in the end. But the U.S., I think our capitalist system that we have set up right now is not going to survive in its current form. Let's see what this says. Not anymore. In fact, since the COVID crash, there was a historic collapse in Chinese real estate prices and the wholesale implosion of the country's property developers. Chinese housing has been a total unmitigated disaster, with most of the Chinese middle class wealth parked in the housing market. One can figure out why China's economy has been a deflationary, deleveraging hot mess for the past 4 years. Well, guess what? The U.S. has all the baby boomer money parked in real estate. What happens when the real estate goes in the United States? All the baby boomers lose all their money. Who is sitting on a bunch of cash right now? Unless you just sold a business or a house, no one's sitting on a bunch of cash right now. So all the baby boomers, their retirements, their housing, their house, their business property or whatever, and when that goes, everything goes. Hold on a second. So there's a lot of retirement money in real estate, and if real estate goes, everything's going to go. Stocks can take a correction, but when real estate crashes in the U.S., that's when the real economy is going to crash. You're going to see people cut back. Like, everyone's going on a vacation right now somewhere. Everyone's spending money. You're not going to see the cutback and everything until real estate prices crash. And China's going to keep doing what China does. I think eventually someone's going to flip the table, and we're just going to have a giant global financial reset. Yeah, we definitely have extremes right now. Tech and .com extremes, retail roars, and cash is gone. No one's sitting on any cash because you're losing money if you're in cash. So pretty much everyone's saving their money in stocks and real estate as a bank account, but you don't realize these are risky investments, and when they go, hey, you can wake up and be down 50%. Oh, great. Kellogg's agrees through artificial dyes. You know how long I've been eating Fruit Loops? Kellogg agrees from artificial dyes. There will be accountability for any company, including Kellogg's, that unlawfully makes misrepresentations about its food and contributions to a broken health system that has made Americans less healthy. Look, I was at the beach this weekend down in Laguna. I'm not in the best shape, but everyone's fat. I've never seen so many fat people in my life. And we have an obesity crisis in this country like no other. Everyone's overweight. We have bad food. The food's poison here. And you pair that with not working out, you can get away with not eating well if you're burning a ton of calories. Like when I was playing college basketball, I was just consuming everything and anything. It didn't matter because it was not staying in my system. I was burning it all out. But when you're eating bad and you're not working out, it's just stuck in your system and it causes all these problems. And what's interesting is when I go to Paraguay, I've never eaten more steak than I have in Paraguay. Everyone just is a glutton. You're just steaks, eating, consuming so much food. Nobody's fat in Paraguay. Very few fat people. And they're eating steaks, lunch, and dinner. No one's fat. Because, you know why? They don't have any fast food. Everything's cooked. So it's really not even about the amount of food you consume. It's the content of the food you consume. Because everyone's eating a ton of food, even the women there, and everyone's in great shape. Yeah, they work out probably a little bit more than Americans, but I think there's one McDonald's in the country. There's almost no fast food. Come here. Oh, we got a little visitor. Oh. Yes. Oh. Yes. Everyone should have a dog. Yeah. Say hi to the camera. Hello, this is Honey. Little dog. All right. Sweden. There's a Sweden here. Eddie from Sweden. I'm going to Paris on this week. I want to go to Sweden. I'm going to New York for like 2 days, then I'm going to go to Paris in the south of France. And I went up to Sweden for like a day on a cruise. I really want to go. Do you follow the BTC chick? She's like a Swedish Bitcoiner. So like the egg situation's back. I know this guy who's filthy rich in the UAE. He's just making so much money, it's crazy. So he's trying to look for money, places to invest his cash, and he had bought a Turkish egg factory. And this is before the egg crisis. And he was asking me, do you know anywhere I can export or sell these eggs? And then I remember looking at the news, and it was the U.S. lifts restrictions on Turkey importing eggs. And then I met with him later, and he's like, I made a lot of money off of the egg business. Man, it's just, and he knows nothing about eggs. You just had a ton of cash. It was right place, right time. But it's funny. And once you start making money, money makes money. There's so many deals. Like, go to Argentina. No, the locals there can't get a loan. There's so many great properties, ideas, and investments, but no one has any access to capital. So say they're making $1 million a year in cash, you go down there and just pay cash for some awesome apartments to Airbnb. There's a ton of opportunity. So Panama. Are you in Stockholm? Yeah, I'm headed to New York this week. I have no idea what I'm doing streaming, but like I'm gonna do like some in real life streaming. Like hopefully I don't get beat up or something. Or like I'll have to hire a camera guy, or I have no idea how I'm gonna do it, but I want to do like walking around, or maybe go check out some Bitcoin stuff, like live stream. Make this interesting, or down in the south of France. Nice suburban part. Yeah, I think I was in Stockholm just for a day on a cruise. I've been to Copenhagen. Party till the sun doesn't go down there. Had some good partying in Copenhagen on a cruise, and then one of my good friends lives in Vilnius, Lithuania. So I've been in the Baltic a few times visiting him. Yeah, that the Baltic during the summer is incredible. Like sun gets dim, it doesn't get dark. You guys are all like snowed in, so everyone's just ready to party and go out. The women are very attractive, like Norway, Sweden, Lithuania. Some good looking gals. Yeah, so Panama. I'm a resident of Panama. Panama's super interesting because they have the canal, and the U.S. kind of ceded it back to Panama, and then Panama's just been letting the Chinese come in everywhere. I think it's the largest Chinese population in Latin America is in Panama. They've like flooded it. Like I've run into dudes running like the Chinese mafia down there and stuff like that. They own all the mafia owns like all the cell phone stores and like little franchise stores. And then the people working it, I feel like they're like slaves for the mafia. And then all this money just gets sent back home or controlled by certain factions. But yeah, it's kind of dangerous because Panama's going to be, like I'm a resident, it's a plan B for me. But it's going to be definitely a hot spot in the future for control of a canal. But Trump already made a move like, yeah, we're just going to take it back now. And the Chinese obviously had to back down. Like, we built it. We have military assets there. We work in conjunction with them. There's a lot of military training and stuff that goes on there. Like, I remember being at a bar one time, and I'm usually, like, the biggest guy because I'm really tall. Everyone was short there, and there were just some big dudes, and had a couple drinks with them, and they were all special forces, like, training Panamanian paramilitary guys down there. Make sure not to go far away from the central part because the criminal situation is unstable here. Too much immigration. So, I know a little bit about the situation there because I have criminal friends that are immigrants from Sweden, or they immigrated to Sweden and then got in trouble and they're in the UAE. So yeah, I know Somalis, Iraqis, and they all immigrated to Sweden, and they're all criminals that like got in trouble and moved to the UAE because they have like non-extradition. But they were telling me like how Sweden, like you think of Sweden and you're like, oh, Swedish blonde, super safe, and they were like the neighborhoods they are like gang warfare. It's like the rape capital of like Europe now, like all this crazy stuff in Sweden. You just never would have thought just opening the doors to the third world. No, in most of Europe, I was in Paris like 5 or 6 years ago. I spent a week there on my way to my friend's wedding in Lithuania, and I had been previously there like 10 years before that, and like it was totally safe. Like I didn't have any issues. When I went back like 6 years ago, there's like 1 million people living on the streets, all the refugees. So like during the day it's fine, but at night I would be coming back from the bars, and where do 1 million 800,000 people sleep? There's not a lot of parks, so everyone's sleeping in the storefronts in the city. So you're walking by at night, and there's people just with nothing to lose sleeping in these storefronts in the cold. And it's probably 10 times worse than I went. So yeah, I'm definitely like not going to be roaming around at night, and like be careful there. The south of France should be pretty safe, but yeah, like eyes in the back of your head in Paris is for sure. I'm not screwing around. Yeah, I mean, Sweden's probably like, people are probably getting sick of it with all the sexual assaults and stuff like that, where you guys will swing to the right, and stop the immigration and get people out. But yeah, like you want people that are going to come to your country, you know, and make it better, right? Contribute to it, work hard, you know, make the country better. It doesn't matter who's coming, but yeah, people want to come and contribute. That's great, but like when people are coming and they're committing crime, or these people are coming and have absolutely nothing, no education, it's hard to, you know, adopt them into the society. And then you bring in, you know, that's why you got to vet who's like coming in, because you want people that are going to come and do good things here, not people that are, you know, MS-13 members that are coming back for the third time. And open borders society just doesn't work. You need to verify everyone. Yeah. And I think, and it's sad because like now we're seeing like what's happening in Europe after like years of just open immigration. Because once you get into Europe, like everyone's, you know, whatever country they're breaking in through, Italy or Turkey, and then like once you're into Europe, they can't get rid of you, and then they go whatever country's offering the most benefits, which is probably like France. Like their unemployment's like crazy. Like I went to like a museum with my friend, and she was unemployed. Like you get to get to all the museums for free if you're unemployed. What's this? Is Bitcoin going Cheech and Chong a bad sign? Stocks are record high. You know what? Like, I don't even follow the price of Bitcoin daily. I used to, but it's like, who even cares? Like, I know where it's going. Like, Bitcoin is going to 1 million. Like, if you're looking at it every day, you're not doing it right. Yeah, if you want to know more about, like, Epstein, this interview was like... this interview was really good I watched last night. Weinstein. Eric Weinstein. This interview is really good.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet
Here, this is 15 minutes.
You met Jeffrey Epstein once.
Yep.
Talk to me about what that's like, coming face to face with somebody of that caliber.
Whatever that means. Well, one thing is that there is a physiological reaction that corresponds to this phrase that, you know, the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. Like, that's a real physiological feeling. I don't know whether the hair actually does that, but it's exactly what it feels like. You're meeting somebody who is unholy. And, you know, one of the most interesting things is that he was beckoning into a world that didn't seem to exist but for him as the doormat. I think that's one of the things that freaked out a lot of these rich people is that he felt rich in a movie sense, which is not something that you find among actually rich people.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of very wealthy people don't own an island. Islands are really tough to maintain. I'm obsessed with islands, and you know, in general, I have to be obsessed with islands that have airports run by other people because, you know, they have populations on them. But every rich person starts to wonder, can I afford it? Can I afford an island? Or how many jets? And if you look at Jeffrey Epstein's wealth, it was like gold beaten into gold foil so that it could cover a vast area and leave the impression of a solid gold life. But it was really probably a mid-9-figure fortune that had been used to buy islands and planes, which is not what any 9-figure person is going to do.
So you had a felt sense, an embodied sense of discomfort.
Oh, hell yeah.
And where did that come from?
The fact that he had a lipstick camera pointed at me from an art object, that he laid a table that was preposterously long and thin with a tablecloth made of an American flag to make it look like a coffin so that I would spill my coffee on the flag of my own country. I mean, the fact that he looked like a mutant Ralph Lauren with this kind of lubricious quality, and he's talking all of this science and market stuff, and nothing adds up, and there's an heiress bouncing on his knee to get her boobs to jiggle to see whether it can distract. I mean, it's like one of these crazy scenes where nothing about it was normal. There was no trace of a normal world.
That sounds like a script from a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, John Travolta is like putting a gun to your head and forcing you to drink and break a code in a minute. Yeah, like that part of it. And then there was some sort of, like, remember that story, The Most Dangerous Game, where a man invites you to his island so he can hunt you? This was scary. And it was meant to be scary.
Sounds menacing.
Well, I think his product was silence. People think that his product was sex or finance, but it was silence, I'm pretty sure.
What does that mean?
If you're scary enough, look, rich people can get sex, but they can't necessarily get people to shut up afterwards. So my take on it instantly was, this is not an actual human. This is a construct of someone's. Someone has created a fake human being called Jeffrey Epstein, who's a mysterious currency trading financier with crazy rules so that no one would ever invest with him. And I think that was to keep people from seeking his investment services. I mean, he's labeled disgraced financier, but nobody has a record of trading with him. He was sitting there, he comes into the meeting and he says, well, Eric, I was just doing some currency trading. And I thought about that scene that you sometimes see it as a meme with Steve Buscemi with a skateboard over his shoulder.
Hello,
saying,
fellow
"Kids."
teenagers. Hello, fellow financial traders.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, you don't really look like a rich guy who trades in markets.
Is your mind secretly sabotaging your success? What if there was a way you could instantly stop self-sabotage and reprogram it for success today? And sleep.
Yeah, Epstein was total
Highest achievers have a
Mossad,
The thing that I'm
CIA.
finding myself intrigued by here is it takes a moderate amount of cognitive horsepower to be able to piece together this theater that you sat down at,
Yeah.
deployed in a nefarious, malicious, manipulative way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's smart.
What do you mean it's smart? Say more.
It's not something that could be done by a simple mind.
You think he did it?
Oh, he has a team of manipulators?
No, when I say I think he was a construct, I literally mean that. I think he was constructed, like fitted with a story.
Oh, so you think he was a plant?
No, I think he was a construct.
What's that? Okay, you're going to have to dig into.
I think Jeffrey Epstein, super genius financier, was not a thing that existed. Where did the money come from? You're gonna mumble Lex Wexner? Okay, so that's what you mumble. But then, there's this missing fortune of Robert Maxwell and this fortune of Jeffrey Epstein that we can't explain. Are those the same fortune? It's like a conservation of money principle, that if you have a fortune that's missing, you have a fortune that can't be explained, and they're connected by Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know. Why is it that no hedge funds, what is it? They file form, I forget, it's 13F. There's certain forms that you have to file. Nobody's ever asked for these things. Who's his prime broker? Where has somebody gone over the prime brokerage? What are his trades? he would have to move the market if he was, doing a yard of euros or Swiss francs or who knows what, as like $1 billion. That would move the market. So there's no way you can fake retroactively a hedge fund of immeasurable size that trades currencies. I don't think he was a currency trader. He told me he was a currency trader.
So when you say a construct, who constructs? Who's the builder?
I don't know. I would imagine some version of the intelligence community. Sometimes somebody's cover gets blown. We have a very famous, unfortunate story of Ellie Cohn with the most.
Yeah, so I watched this guy's interview the other night, the one with Diary of the CEO, and it was really good. And like, he met Epstein, and Epstein knew all this information about his work. So, if you don't know who Eric Weinstein is, he's one of the top mathematicians in the world. And this really good interview I watched of him was how if you are a physicist, you do not have free speech in the United States of America. There's some type of act where the U.S. government can come after you. Because these mathematicians, can do crazy things with just, their mind. Like the nuclear weapon, these crazy ideas, these anti-gravity things. So he was pretty much saying that Epstein was part of intelligence, and what they're doing is monitoring all of these scientists in the U.S., what their discoveries, how they're doing it. Because you could be just a mad genius on your own, independent, come up with some incredible theory that changes everything, and what happens if you do that and then the Chinese get it first? So there's this whole intelligence on monitoring scientists and what they know and what they say as far as nuclear energy, all of this stuff. And he talks about in his interview, his best friend, or what he thought was his best friend, was actually an informant, pretty much a handler, who got close to him and was passing all his knowledge up to the FBI and what other branches of the U.S. government. So it's pretty crazy. But he also talked about Bitcoin, because he was like, just this 9-page idea solves double spend and leverages it and changes the whole world of finance. The power of the mind. And what other ideas? He talks about, these anti-gravity and all this stuff. And I was just watching this YouTube where the scientist went missing. Anti-gravity scientist goes missing. Oh, this lady.
Now, this is going to sound crazy, but there is actual evidence to suggest that the U.S. military was experimenting with anti-gravity technology starting in the early 2000s and continuing until at least the mid-2010s. Strap on your tinfoil hats, because I want to talk to you about the anti-gravity research of Chinese-American physicist Ning Li and her work with the U.S. Army out of the Redstone Arsenal. This is, hands down, the strangest story I've ever discussed on this platform. Because, you see, not long after Dr. Ning Li signed a contract with the U.S. military to move her anti-gravity research out of the realm of the theoretical and into practical experimentation, she disappeared, creating what's become among the most pervasive mysteries in modern internet history. Let's talk about the enigmatic anti-gravity research and the disappearance of Ning Li. I'm Alex Hollings, and this is a pretty...
Yeah, I think there might be more than one, but she might have been disappeared back to China.
Weird episode of Air Power. And storied history of being at the forefront of space and military technologies. In the days following World War II, the U.S. Army's Redstone Arsenal out of Huntsville, Alabama, became the centerpiece of ongoing experimentation with recovered German V-2 rockets that would go on to become the basis for both American space programs and ballistic missile efforts. And today, Huntsville is still the centerpiece of numerous ongoing technological efforts, with numerous research facilities throughout the city limits established by the university.
See if there's anything good on this.
He was, quote, one of the world's leading scientists in superconductivity anti-gravity. But the obituary offered very little else in the way of details except for the name of Ning Li's son, George Men, who still lived in the Huntsville area. Logan soon managed to get a hold of George Men and put at least part of this mystery to bed. We now know that Dr. Ning Li continued her work with the U.S. Department of Defense for the remainder of her life. In fact, at one point, her son even asked her about the secrecy related to her work, and she gave him an excellent answer. I'll quote him directly here. First off, you don't know anything. Second off, if you even think you might know something, you forget about it. And he said, okay, that's fine. Her son also shed light on why Dr. Ning Li stopped publishing her work. According to him, once she started working with the Department of Defense and secured her top secret security clearance, she began working on classified programs and was no longer allowed to publish her findings, which Dr. Ning Li seemed to not like very
So this is another thing that Eric Weinstein talked about. You're not allowed, like, nothing in the physicist community, nothing is open source because it's dangerous. You open source something and then someone can make some incredible weapon that does whatever. So there's no open source in the science community, and a lot of this is repressed. And as soon as, you know, look at Operation Paperclip of World War II, we just stole all these scientists and, you know, placed them here, give them fake names. The technology and science is everything. And China and the US are fighting over scientists and technology, who has what. But yeah, there's definitely some crazy stuff. This is 2000s. There's definitely some crazy anti-gravity stuff.
She loved publishing her work. And we also learned that there was at least a kernel of truth to the idea that the Chinese government wanted Ning Li to continue her research in China. According to her son, CCP officials visited Ning Li at her home in 2008, asking her to leave the United States to return to China to continue her work there. Ning Li rejected the offer, and as a result, the Chinese government barred her from entering the country to attend her mother's funeral. Unfortunately, Ning Li's story has a tragic end. She continued.
I'm surprised the Chinese just didn't have her come back from her mom's funeral and then not let her leave.
Military at Redstone Arsenal and on the University of Alabama campus until 2014, when she was walking with her husband and she was struck by a car. Her husband, who wasn't hit, was so shocked by what he saw that he had a heart attack and passed away. Ning Li herself suffered brain damage, which was later compounded by Alzheimer's disease, and she spent the remaining 6 years of her life bedridden and being taken care of by her son. She ultimately passed away in his care.
Can you imagine some idiot ran over the top anti-gravity scientists in the U.S. giving her brain damage?
In 2021. Of course, the real mystery here, how far along Ning Li got in her anti-gravity efforts and whether or not her theoretical models ever proved to be truly effective remains a mystery, and likely will be for some time to come.
I bet. Dude, this is like what
If you have a
Eddie's talking about. This guy's going to the German projects. Let's look at it.
$150,000 of capital.
These are so.
Wait, hold on, no.
What?
No, not for me.
Why? Chill.
The first time beginning with Harry and Craig.
Hello. You're filming. Part 2 of the European conquest has begun. And welcome to the financial capital of Germany, Frankfurt, or Crackfurt. And today we'll be going into the notorious neighborhood of the Bahnhof Viertel, which has been completely taken over by crime, illegal migrants, and drugs. So, let's go. And joining me today is Fred, who is known for his formidable slap kick combo. Now you're probably wondering, Kurt, why do you need a bodyguard? You know, you've traveled all around the world, you've gone to the most dangerous countries on earth, yet in Europe you need somebody to watch over you. Well, out of all the places that I've been to, this is the most hostile. So a lot of people will tell you that you can't film, got to put the camera away, etc. So Fred will be joining me and stopping any threats. So as you can see, the lovely banks and high rises in the background. So we're in the center of the city. This is where the financial institution is, the Central European Bank is, and over here starts the degeneracy. So, behind us, the Hauptbahnhof, the main train station. Let's not get run over by a tram. Tram's rights. So, Frankfurt is a major transport hub, and it's also a major transport hub for narcotics. So there's a lot of strange looking characters that hang around here. There's somebody getting interrogated by the police there. Let's walk down this road. A very multicultural road, as you can see.
Yeah, I'm gonna like live stream some from Paris and we'll see how ghetto it is.
So, Afghan flags, lots of Arabic and Oriental shops, supermarkets, restaurants. You'll be lucky if you see a German flag or an actual German in this part of town. Police on standby again. So what are your thoughts so far on Frankfurt?
Well, it's just like where I come from in Manchester, Oldham and Rochdale. You know, you just can't find anyone that looks like you, talks like you, and has the same ideas as you. But you can get some great curries and great kebabs. So,
Well, now that we've got the recipes, we can go back, right?
That's right.
Over here is a sign that says Waffen verboten, so a
Yeah, you know it's not a good neighborhood when they got the no gun sign.
No knuckle dusters, no knives, and no pepper spray. Right. That's something. As you guys will notice throughout this video, you'll see a lot of big fancy cars. And now, it'll probably make you wonder, I'm not accusing anybody, but it'll make you wonder, where do they get the money to buy $100,000 cars, $200,000 cars? There goes a Porsche. You know? As somebody who does YouTube full time and gets decent views, even I couldn't afford to buy a Mercedes-Benz. Now, can you imagine the average German person that works a full-time 9 to 5? A lot of the older Germans have to meet ends meet by collecting plastic bottles to refund and get their 25 cents.
No, it's...
Little stores. Hey, bro.
Bro, why come out, bro?
Why?
No, not for me, I said.
Why? Chill. Don't want me filming you. Is that hello to
You
you?
like me, man?
Yeah, of course.
Very nice, bro.
Yeah, you too.
Where
You
you
too.
from, bro?
England.
Yeah, bro.
Will you come to me?
It's good.
Yeah, I was filming here. Okay. Ciao. Fucking up. He's saying something to his friends. So a lot of these guys that you see on the street corners are up to no good. Obviously, I'm not accusing them, but there's a lot of dealers around this area. Where there is a demand, there is a supply, right? Lots of fancy cars. So the teach handling kids and really make streets. So what they want. Very, very sad. I'm filming the streets, lady. Thank you. Oh, thanks so much. So, lady, overdosing. It's really sad because, you know, these are sold. Whoa! Wow, you fucking crazy bitch. Jesus Christ.
You want customers from ads much cheaper and to scale much further? Our software Hyros will do that for you, or you don't pay for it. No, seriously. If you
Die Frau mit die Schwarze. It's really sad because these people have, you know, they would have been normal functioning people. Ich habe das Recht, auf der Straße zu filmen. Ich habe das Recht, auf der Straße zu filmen. Ich filme dich nicht, ich filme die Straße. Aber jetzt haben Sie eine Flasche auf mir geschmissen. Das geht nicht. Ich habe ein Recht, auf der Straße zu filmen. Verstehen Sie das nicht? There's a lady ODing right over here. So let's get out of here. Looks like it's a dead end, so. Wow, almost had a bottle on my head there. We've got to watch our backs, man. Even the ladies are crazy over here. Fucking hell, that wouldn't have ended well. That's why you got your umbrella. Yeah, exactly. And my umbrella, Ella.
To be honest with you, like downtown in LA is way worse than this. Like, I live like in a bubble in the OC, and when I go to LA, I forget how bad it was. Like, it was the middle of the day last time I was there, and that was nothing. Like people were eating off like leftover food off the ground in the middle of the street, and cars going around them. People were just coming up and screaming at me on the crosswalk, and I wasn't even filming or anything, and it was just intense. And then like I made a wrong turn one time. There was a stoplight under a bridge, and they were like vampires. They're all sleeping under these bridges, and they come out and you just run the red light. Like, this is actually not that bad compared to downtown LA.
Oh, there's some drug dealers right over there. Are you a... Why are you a...
Ich weiß nur, dass im Moment wirklich, wie soll man sagen, sehr viele Differenzen sind.
Okay.
Dass viele Steuern verschwendet werden für andere Dinge und das Volk letztendlich massiv drunter leidet. Und dadurch natürlich auch Leute, die lebenlang die Grundvoraussetzungen für alles geschaffen haben, heute Flaschen sammeln müssen, weil sie nicht mit ihren Kosten zurechtkommen. Angela Merkel wurde fürs Bundesverdienstkreuz ausgezeichnet, wo sie ab 2015 die Türen aufgemacht hat und alles hier hochgekommen ist. Alles gut und schön für Leute, die wirklich in Not sind.
Yeah, last time I was in Paris, I like went to this beautiful park in the middle of the day. I had time to kill, and some dude was just smoking a crack pipe in the park.
Aber sie haben natürlich auch etwas damit ausgelöst, wenn man sich vorstellt, dass von 2015 bis 2025
Toten. So for my German viewers, can you please translate what that means?
Stille, bisschen
Housekeeping,
bisschen Housekeeping.
Okay. Engineer and doctor. Hello.
Hello.
Where are you from? You speak English?
What is this?
This is a camera, my friend.
Camera.
Have you ever seen one?
What do you want? What do you want?
We're filming the streets.
The streets.
Yes.
Mach nicht sowas.
Warum? Warum?
Mach dir kaputt.
Mach mir kaputt. Mach schon. Okay. Well, he said he's gonna break me. Okay. Lovely engineer. You think it was an engineer or a doctor? Astronaut. As you guys can see, there's a police van parked right over there. Over here, an open drug trade. Just people selling drugs and smoking crack. So I always find it funny, you know. People hate being filmed. But the state is constantly surveilling them. Make feminism a threat! Children not being so here is a drug clinic where you can, a safe space for people to go inside and consume. So you can go in and safely take your heroin or your fentanyl, and they keep an eye over you.
So I used to be like from California because we grew up like marijuana here. I was very like, oh, let people do drugs, legalize everything, tax it, get rid of the cartels. And then I went to the UAE where, you know, if you get caught with a vape pen that's marijuana or whatever, I mean, they throw you away, lock you up. And look at the Emirati society where people don't lock their car, they leave their front doors open. When you go to a coffee shop, you take your phone and you leave it on the table, and then you go order, and you come back. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine separating from my phone. Like, I saw people doing that. I'm like, I'll leave something else, like my hat. I'm like, I'm not leaving my phone. Everyone just leaves their phone as a placeholder. No one steals anything. Like, if you steal a phone there, you go to jail for 5 years. And then you come back to like California, and we're just overrun with this drug epidemic. It's not so much poverty. It's like everyone is on drugs, right? Like, you go to Skid Row. It's not, I ran out of money, I'm poor. you can live out of your car, get a job. It's all people hooked on all the opiates, heroin, meth, all that stuff. So, like I was saying the other day, I was like, if I became the governor of California, the first thing I would do is I would make the strictest. I would keep marijuana legal, but all the opiates and fentanyl, I would make the strictest policies possible. I would let everyone know, like, if you get caught in California, we're going to lock you up and throw away the keys. And then I'd make, like, work camps, because you have, obviously, we're going to have an influx of prisoners. And put them to work. Don't, put them in these cells doing nothing. Make them free labor. And harsh penalties. And, hey, you can go do that in other states. You come to California, we're going to have the strictest laws. And the other problem with California is they decriminalize theft pretty much. So you have to steal anything under $900 is a ticket. What happens when you incentivize crime? Everyone goes out and steals, and even the law-abiding people are like, "Why am I going to pay and everyone else is stealing?" So it's tragedy of the commons. And look at Dubai. You get caught stealing from a grocery store, a couple bottles of water. That's like you go to jail for years. No one steals. No one even dares do that. No one's dumb enough. I would do the same thing in California. If you steal anything, it's a minimum 1 year in prison or one of these work camps. See how much people steal after that. When you start hearing the stories of your friends going to jail for 2 years for stealing a couple Snickers bars, no one's going to do it. Everyone's like, oh, well, it costs us so much money to imprison all these people. Well, what's the cost of society if everyone's just stealing everything and crime's out of control? Like, what do you value on safety? So I think I've done a 180 on drugs. I think there should be the strictest punishments and get rid of all, because it's ruining the United States. And we're having this reverse opium wars from China right now. China is shipping all the precursors into Canada and Mexico. They're making the super meth, all that stuff, and they ship it in the U.S., poisoning our country, ruining the families, the drugs kill everything, and they're just pumping just cargo containers of this stuff in the United States. That's why you're starting to see Trump. They're flying M1 Reaper drones over Mexico for the first time. But this is state-sponsored chemical warfare. How do you got to go to start doing some crazy stuff against China to hold them accountable for what they're doing to us.
So there's a lot of those around the area. It's basically just a safe space for people to not overdose and die.
Wir wollen wissen, was hier passiert jetzt. Was ist passiert? Warum gibt es so viele Leute auf den Straßen?
Es gibt sehr viele Fentanyl und Steine.
Fentanyl, crack cocaine. Are you guys?
Leute, viele junge Leute, Probleme zu Hause, Beziehung, Liebe kaputt.
Kommen Sie aus Frankfurt?
Ich auch von da.
Okay, aber Sie sind Deutsch, oder?
Ich bin Deutsch.
Ich bin aus Serbien, ich bin aus Syrien.
Syria?
Viele Leute,
Ich habe auch ungefähr 9 Jahre.
Like, can Trump clean up? He can bring a lot of forces into the DC and clean it up, but we have a bigger issue. In all American cities, crime, degeneracy is going crazy because you have a drug epidemic, you have inflation, cost of living. This isn't something that Trump can just fix. These are deep-seated issues of why all this is happening, across the United States. And it's a cultural problem. I was down in Bolivia. It's the poorest country in South America. I walked around by myself. Not one person heckled me. Not one person bothered me. I'm 6'6" white guy. They have no tourism there. I didn't get robbed. It's a cultural thing. They're agricultural, society. Everyone works hard. They're poor, but they're not robbing everyone. Can't walk around by yourself in downtown LA. Like, you get mugged. So it's the American culture is going south too.
Is that dangerous? Das ist gefährlich?
Worst drug on earth.
Das ist gefährlich.
Die gefährlich.
Was kann passieren?
Amerika, meiste Tote, Deutschland, meiste Tote,
Hast du Leute gesehen, getötet von das?
Yeah, I got overdosed in February this year, and 3 guys, 12 minutes, make me first aid, you know?
Reden wir die Leute hier.
Ihr wollt ja weiß, warum die Leute nicht drauf sind.
Nein, sie sind nicht drauf.
Warum hast du hier gekommen, du?
Sie sind nicht drauf.
Ständig sind genau vor.
Wir reden mit denen.
Ich möchte gefilmt worden.
So, there's a bit
What do you know? Come on, come on.
Yeah, let's go there. Let's go there.
Come on, I go with you.
So we found some guys that are willing to talk on camera.
Ja, no problem. Die sehen, warum die...
The first time beginning with heroin, and crack 1987 heroin, and then crack. I don't smoke cigarettes, you know.
Just crack.
Yeah. I smoke crack, fentanyl, and I smoke weed.
But how is the situation right now? Is it worse than it was before?
I'm on the street. I lost my wife. I was in marriage 26 years. With my wife, I lost for 5.5 years. With accident with car. I had knife 2 times about me, and then bottles.
Because the
take
police.
bottles.
Do the police try to stop you?
The police can be. He knows me. Police knows me.
They know you, but they don't try to do anything.
I don't make chapter up by people, you know.
Muss nur Respekt machen, wenn
I'm
du
normally.
rausläufst auf die Straße, musst du Respekt machen.
Die machen keinen Stress mit den Drogen.
No,
Wenn du
no.
Besteck
Das ist hier erlaubt, oder?
Nah, when you smoke so, no, it become children. I stopped. I asked the people.
Manchmal Kontrolle.
Children's coming. Police know me. I don't make chapter up or other people going there or I break cars. And I don't make this.
Das ist schlimmer geworden mit den Immigranten.
Das sowieso.
Wow.
Das ist jetzt, weil hier ist Zürich, Algerien sind der Guy was with me. Flüchtlinge.
Flüchtlinge.
Ja, nee, Zürich Leute, gibt es 2, 3 Leute da in Frankfurt.
Ja, die machen Hauptgeschäfte.
Albanisch.
Die machen Geschäfte,
Ja, aber die
aber
machen
die
große
Geschäfte,
Leute,
richtige
sind
Albaner.
Ja,
Sind die großen Leute, die
Albaner schwingende Leute hier. Machen
Okay.
Ja, Russen Leute.
Das sind Mafia
Das
oder
ist
was?
Mafia. Hier, jede Laden, jede Bahn. Alles Bahn.
Die Drogen hier kommen, die kommen aus Amerika, Kolumbien, Spanien, die kommen von Kolumbien, von Spanien und von
I want to see like how bad. Let's see like if there's videos on this.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
She's a tourist. She's a tourist, man. Why are you kidding?
It's not the same.
She got the Bronx.
Feels like the Bronx. Okay. These guys don't have licenses. I mean, they're no big.
Oh, so the people
Oh.
in the...
On a rien à foutre du tourisme.
Oh, yeah.
Pas filmé. C'est pas de dessin, c'est pas.
You're the only French person here. There's no more.
No French here.
He says he is the only French person left here. This is insane.
Que han detento son los que se están metiendo en Francia en el poder, en la policía, en las escuelas, a las niñas pequeñitas así.
We're just tourists. No, we're not filming you, okay?
Voilà, je filme.
We're not filming you.
Fuera de París, donde viven todos, ya quieren poner la ley de la Sharia. que la-
That wasn't even police, it's just a protection civil, so it's like a token policeman.
Muy terrible la Francia, porque ya no podemos hacer nada.
Hey guys, we're here in Paris, France, and I am accompanied by the Wandering Englishman. And right now we are at a station called Gare du Nord.
Gare du Nord is a northerly station in central Paris where people come into Paris. For example, they might take the train from London, they get the train from St Pancras in London, they direct to Gare. I mean, at the end of the day, things might start getting cheaper, so there's a scramble
to try and get maybe bananas probably half the price today. Now they got to get rid of it because it's 32 degrees today.
They kind of look like they're like a little bit fighting.
It's not the other parts of Paris where you see more the French Parisians. The French Parisians will be queuing up.
Non, pas de vidéos. Non, vas-y, pas de vidéos.
Okay.
Monsieur, il ne faut pas l'écouter.
Bonjour and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to explore Marché Barbes, a place just north of the Gare du Nord. If I didn't tell you this was in Paris, would you really know this was Paris?
You've just arrived off the Eurostar tunnel and you're thinking of not getting a taxi or the metro into a nice part of Paris. I want to show you what the neighbourhood around the Gare du Nord looks like. I want to show you what happens when you head directly north.
What is an anti-gravity weapon?
It would only be if it were the case that in fact we have mastered anti-gravity and they're being built by aerospace corporations, then new physics would have to be involved.
The idea that there would be fundamental physics knowledge that would be housed in an aerospace company and not shared with the physics community, there is no evidence of that.
No evidence for it, not that I know of.
And I wouldn't.
That doesn't mean it's not the case, but
that would be this crazy egregious.
It would change our entire concept of who we are if somebody kept fundamental physics secret in the years since we became capable of exploding fusion devices. I would grab a pitchfork and a tiki torch, and I would march on the National Science Foundation.
Right, right.
I mean, I still can't believe that that's true.
It would only.
I believe it's true. This guy's like kind of crazy.
That's where the man-made anti-gravity craft that Lockheed makes come up out of the ground, hover over the diamond, and then they're struck with certain directional energy weapons to see how sturdy they are and how stable they are. And most of them are hardened enough, but occasionally one goes down.
Is that what you're talking about right there?
Correct. So you see those diamonds, that is not a runway. So they come up and they float over those diamonds at various distances. And so that's where you test these objects. And they're electrogravitic, meaning they're not conventional propulsion systems. So there's no rockets, there's no jets, etc. I will give you the date when we mastered gravity control. It was October 1954, so I wasn't born yet. That's where the man-made anti-gravity craft that Lockheed made.
The more you look at stuff, like there's for sure this whole other thing of secret technologies that are not being shared. Like we should have had electric vehicles a long time ago. Like medicine, all stuff just feels like it's kind of stalling out, and I feel that free energy, all that stuff exists, the government already has it, but they would lose control over populations, right? If there were free energy, all this stuff, they would lose its control over all these people. You know, if they need to go to the government for gas, oil, all that stuff, if everyone just had their own energy and could do stuff, it would change society very rapidly. Oh, this is the chick we were talking about earlier. The scientists discovered anti-gravity and then disappeared completely. Someone was talking about an anti-gravity bomb. Like, what would that look like?
The dream was travel and freedom, but the reality is just work in different time zones. You know what ruins a vacation? It's not the flight delay or...
Things are getting tense in Europe, with Vladimir Putin responding to every city taken back by the Ukrainians and every NATO weapon shipment with threats of nuclear war. But in
reality, it might be the United States' new weapon that Putin is losing sleep over. What is the secret of the B-6112 gravity bomb? Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world, but it got it back in the Cold War, and it hasn't changed much since. Designed for an intercontinental nuclear showdown, its missiles are massive and old, and no one knows how many of them are even in working order anymore. While it does have tactical nuclear weapons as well, designed to defeat localized enemy forces rather than blow up whole cities, they've never been used in combat, and no one is sure how powerful they are or when they were built. The same can't be said for the best tactical weapon in the US arsenal. Meet the B-61 nuclear bomb, a mainstay of the US arsenal since the Cold War. A low to intermediate yield strategic and tactical nuclear weapon, it delivers anywhere from...
Hold on. This guy's great. Hold on. I want to let's watch this.
But we're starting from a little bit farther back than I thought, because it turns out I think that many of us don't know what's been going on to build up to this moment. I'm going to try to get through it relatively efficiently. I want to talk about emerging victorious. The culture wars has been very poorly understood. How many of you have ever been in an actual war, have seen action in an actual war? Very interesting. I think it's quite a lot more than many of you imagine. I want to begin with going back to the Bible. I am your DEI speaker. As an atheist Jew progressive from the United States, I'm sort of slightly askew. But what I want to do is I want to go back to the Bible and Isaiah, which is at the end of Bob Dylan's famous All Along the Watchtower. And if you go to the King James Version, where it says, "Go and set a watchman and let him declare what he seeth," it's two riders that are approaching, as the song says. And what did they come with? They come with news of the fall of Babylon. We are in a situation in which the post-World War II order has fallen. J.D. Vance has announced this. I personally think it's very important that the U.S. treat its friends in Europe very, very well, and should be done in a fashion that lets people know that the U.S. will be there for the long haul. I am sure that that is in the cards, but we have to realize that we are waking up from a very long period of time, which I've called the Great Nap. Now the question is peace linked to gelding, to emasculation, to devitalization? You know, there's a very famous quote spoken by Orson Welles as Harry Lime in The Third Man. And I'm sure many of you who know the film know the quote I'm thinking of immediately. In Italy, for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. And of course, he goes on to say that in Switzerland there were 500 years of brotherly love, and they came up with the Cuckoo Clock.
Last call this Saturday, August 16th. Money Models comes out. The 4 amazing bonuses disappear unless you register right now. All right, and we've got one secret gift I've been working on for multiple years that I'm releasing. 2 people, but only...
What's that?
Attention. We are now at DEFCON 1. Security lockdown.
Russian nukes in space.
The country recently tested a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile.
Hypersonic missiles and aircraft could be the future of warfare.
One of the most powerful nuclear weapons in the world is the B-83 nuclear bomb, the heavyweight of the US arsenal. Weighing about 2,400 pounds or 1,100 kilograms and stretching 12 feet or 3.7 meters in length with a diameter of 18 inches or 46 centimeters, it's roughly the size of a small car. But within this imposing frame lies a force of unimaginable destruction.
This thing got 24 million views.
Of TNT. Upon detonation as an airburst, the immediate fireball would engulf an area over 10 square kilometers, or close to 4 square miles, vaporizing everything within its radius. Buildings would be obliterated within an 11-kilometer or close to 7-mile radius, flattening much of the city center. Thermal radiation would cause third-degree burns to anyone within 22 kilometers, or close to 14 miles from ground zero, covering an area of over 1,500 square kilometers or 580 square miles. The human cost would be staggering, estimated at over 2.8 million immediate fatalities and 4.6 million injuries. And remember, this is from just one Trident II missile. The United States operates 14 Ohio-class nuclear submarines, each capable of carrying up to 20 Trident II missiles. That adds up to 280 Trident II missiles lurking in the depths of the oceans. With each missile carrying up to 8 warheads at 475 kilotons apiece, we're looking at a total of 2,240 nuclear warheads. If you calculate the combined explosive power, it amounts to an astonishing 1,064 megatons of TNT. That's the equivalent of over 70,000 Hiroshima bombs worth of destructive energy concealed beneath the sea. This immense force is constantly on patrol, ready to be unleashed if ever called upon. And number 3 is China's DF-5 intercontinental ballistic missile, specifically the DF-5C variant. This missile is a true giant, standing over 106 feet tall and weighing approximately 183 tons. First introduced in the 1980s, the DF-5 has remained a cornerstone of China's nuclear deterrent ever since. The DF-5 has an impressive range of up to 15,000 kilometers, or about 9,300 miles, which means it can reach almost any target on the globe from launch sites within China. What makes it particularly formidable is its payload. The latest versions, like the DF-5B and DF-5C, are equipped with MIRVs, allowing them to carry up to 12 nuclear warheads, each with a yield of 1 megaton of TNT. To understand the scale, remember that the Hiroshima bomb was just 15 kilotons of TNT, so each warhead on the DF-5 is about 66 times more powerful. If all 12 warheads were directed at the same target area, the combined explosive power would be a staggering 12 megatons. That's 800 times more powerful than
We're
the bomb
screwed.
dropped on Hiroshima. Let's imagine that a single...
And sleep all the way down.
Do this and I love this channel of Y-Files.
In 1704, using a series of calculations, Isaac Newton predicted the world would end sometime around the year 2060. Almost 300 years later, in 1973, a computer at MIT made the prediction that life as we know it will end around the year 2040. It also predicted that some of the first signs would be seen in the year 2020. Some of its predictions have come true, and scientists are taking this seriously. Let's find out why. In the 300 years since Isaac Newton's ominous prediction, there have been plenty of doomsayers announcing the end of the world. Usually these folks are religious zealots, false prophets, frauds, or all the above. But in the 1970s, computer scientists said, hold my beer. Their scientific predictions aren't based on ancient texts or interpretation of scripture. Instead, they use data models. Computer scientists have come to the same apocalyptic conclusion as Newton, right down to the date. Now, to be clear, the end of the world in this context doesn't mean the end of the planet, or even the end of life on the planet. It just means the collapse of society. The model's based on the work of J. Wright Forrester, who's considered the father of system dynamics.
Which is?
Well, system dynamics is a methodology and mathematical modeling technique used to understand complex issues and problems.
Oh, thanks. Very helpful.
Okay, a little less sloganing. Systems are pretty much everything. System dynamics is how pieces of the system relate to each other. For example, the deer population is a system. The resulting calculation using system dynamics is called a stock. The number of deer born is a dynamic piece of that data that adds to the population. The number of deer that die subtracts from the population.
I gotta go.
But to that model, we start in December 19...
I gotta go. I'm hungry.